Now we got to go. Just sling it around the outside. And we're up into 18th. What's going on, guys? My name is Basilio and welcome back to Formula 1 2018, and finally the start of my career mode series. Apologies it's taken so long to get this all set up and sorted out. These episodes do require quite a bit of editing on my part, so apologies for the delay. And yeah, so coming into this, like I said, I'm a huge fan of Formula 1, obviously, as a lot of you may know. It's my favourite motorsport category to watch and enjoy. And yeah, I was left with a little bit of a dilemma in this in terms of who to drive for. And if you follow me on Twitter or Facebook, you'll know I put a poll up on Twitter for you guys to vote on. And needless to say, the results were somewhat indecisive because Williams and Sauber tied on 38% apiece, and Toro Rosso, they were on 25%. So yeah, as much as that helped getting rid of one possibility, it still left me with two possibilities to choose from. And in the end, I opted to go for the Williams team. And my reasons for this were purely down to the fact that Williams, obviously, they're an historic team. They're the third longest serving team in Formula 1, numerous championships, and you know, drivers' championship, constructors' championship wins, pole positions, and so on. So the challenge of getting them back to where I suppose people would say they rightfully belong, at the sharp end of the grid, was just too good of a challenge to turn down. And yeah, so we obviously met the team and so on. And in terms of this series and the rules and so on, and what kind of stuff we're running, so everything's manual basically. No assists, no traction control, ABS or anything like that. Manual gearbox, manual ERS. So that's going to be a new challenge as well. Manual pit stops, so there's no pit assist at all. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a challenge and it's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah. And before we got started and jumped into the first practice session, I did actually make some upgrades to the car, because we know where the glaring deficiencies with this particular package lie, and that is in the chassis and the aero. But also I did the first upgrade with regards to durability, because obviously the more durable components are, because we've only got limited components throughout the season, the more durable they are, the less stress it's going to be down the line, where we're not having to potentially incur grid penalties for going over our allocation on certain components, or just having straight up failures in races, which again would not help our cause. So yeah, we're not going to have those upgrades for today's race though. That will probably be coming maybe in the next race, which is the Bahrain Grand Prix, I believe. But yeah, so what we're going to do though is we're going to kick things off proper, and we're going to see how we got on in our practice sessions. So on to practice, and yeah, it was a bit of a mixed bag, to be honest with you. Obviously, we had a lot of practice programs to get through. Obviously, the ones we've had in previous games, the tyre management, fuel management, practice. The qualifying simulation, race simulation, and so on and so forth. And also we've got the new one, which is the ERS management practice program to get through. And we did okay. We didn't perfect everyone, you know, get the purple score, get the top marks in everyone, but we got purple in a couple of them, which was really good. So that's going to help us down the line with some further resource points. But I mean, honestly, I'm not a great fan of the Melbourne, the Albert Park circuit. It's one of those funny ones. There's no circuits really like it, and I've never really had a good rhythm around here. So I wasn't 100% happy with the track itself, or the car, obviously, considering the lack of downforce. But yeah, I mean, there were some funny moments as well. Namely being Lance Stroll somehow finishing top of the FP1 leaderboards by a scarcely believable 15 seconds from Sebastian Vettel. So I'm not quite sure how he did that. Maybe Daddy bought him 2 or 3 more turbochargers to put on his car, perhaps. And then, of course, obviously, if you follow me on Twitter, you would have seen this one. Sebastian Vettel apparently is broken. I don't know what happened here. He sat there for about 10 minutes doing that, and he slowly got there, and I think by the time he just about got out, practice ended. So yeah, there we go. We ended one of the practice sessions a bit early though, so it put us up against it because we actually binned it coming out of turn 5. Just got a little bit high on the I think on the AstroTurf, and I just dropped the back end into the wall, and that was pretty much the end of our practice sessions. Our FP1 that was, and it left for a pretty interesting interview afterwards, which was again another new feature for this year's gaming career mode interviews. So yeah, but overall we got a good feel for the car and a good feel for the conditions, and we earned some pretty good resource points as well. So what we're going to do now though is we are going to take a look to see how we got on in qualifying, and Q3 was actually a wet qualifying, so this should be interesting. So, on to qualifying, and as I mentioned, it was a wet qualifying to kick things off. So, yeah, it was projected to rain throughout the entirety of Q1, and yeah, I mean, it's a tricky circuit without the rain, and with a car that's got, that's really struggling on the aerodynamic side and the chassis side. This is not the way you want to kick off your qualifying campaign, to be honest with you. You can just see how much we're struggling there with understeer, and it left us with a bit of a dilemma about which way to go with setup, because the weather forecast for the race was that it would be overcast but it wouldn't rain, and it would brighten up towards the back end. So with a full dry, you don't want to have a full wet qualifying setup going into the race when it's going to be dry, because you're just going to be a sitting duck. You're not going to have the speed down the straights. So it left us with a little bit of a dilemma, I suppose, like I said. And I don't know, I mean, I sort of went halfway in between what would be more of a dry setup, just on the basis that maybe if we can progress through into Q2, then we'd have still a little bit of performance there. We'd still have the opportunity of maybe getting a decent starting position. But yeah, like I said, wasn't 100% confident, and in the conditions with the car, it's very, very squirmy, it's very understeery, and again, the setup, because I was going halfway between the two, it wasn't optimal for the wet conditions. But as we come across the line, it's going to be a somewhat respectable 139.091, which I don't know, I say respectable, but it puts us down in 19th place. But the saving grace is the fact that we beat our teammates. So Lance Stroll starts from the very back of the grid, and then it's us. Yeah, I mean, okay qualifying. Our projection was to start 19th on the grid, so we achieved our objective with the team, and we beat our teammates. So I suppose that's the best we could hope for with the car in its current state, I guess you could say. But yeah, so it left us with a bit of an uphill struggle. But I mean, looking at the rest of the grid order, and Kimi Raikkonen snagged pole position from Lewis Hamilton as the session dried out, as you can see from the times there. Then we've got Valtteri Bottas in third, Max Verstappen fourth, followed by Ricciardo, Sainz, Magnussen, Roman Grosjean, Fernando Alonso, pretty good qualifying for him, Charles Leclerc as well. That's one of the ones we're going to have to beat. We're going to have to beat the Saubers because they're around our level. Brandon Hartley as well had a good one. Sebastian Vettel had an absolute mare in qualifying, but he did take a penalty, as you can see on the right hand side of his little graphic there. Then we've got Sergio Perez, Esteban Ocon, Pierre Gasly, Nico Hulkenberg, Stoffel Van Dorn, Marcus Ericsson, ourselves, and Lance Stroll. So yeah, that was qualifying, and I don't know where we're going to be sitting in the race. We're going to see what strategy options we've got open to us, see if we can claw our way back up the grid. But it's going to be an interesting race. It's going to be a fun race, and without further ado, let's get the season kicked off and head down to the grid for the Australian Grand Prix.
New drivers, new cars, and a new Formula One season. But it's the same Albert Park that we've come to know and love for more than 2 decades now that hosts the first round of a 21-race championship, taking us from here in Melbourne, Australia, across the globe before we eventually reach the season finale at Yas Marina Circuit in Abu Dhabi.
Okay then guys, so here we are on the grid just ahead of the start of the race, and yeah, 19th position. It's not a great place to be starting from, but who knows, you know, with strategy we might be able to make something happen. So it's quite cool out. It's only, what, 19, so it's not going to have a really high track temperature, which it might help us a little bit depending on the strategy we go for. But I mean, looking what's available, we've got a one stop or a two stop. Now, I'm not a fan of tyre saving. I'm not particularly good at it in a race situation. I could do it in the in the practice programs, but doing it in a race is a whole other kettle of fish, to be honest with you. So I'm inclined to go for a two-stop, and my thinking is I think most of the grid are going to be going for a one-stop. So I think by the time we get to that final stint on those super soft tyres, I think their soft tyres, those around us, I think will probably be going off a little bit. So we'll have a bit of a grip advantage and maybe able to make up some positions that way. So yeah, I'm going to go with the two stop. But yeah, so it's going to require a bit of driving from ourselves. We're going to have to get ahead of those guys who are one stopping, but should be fun. So yeah, let's jump back down to the track. I'll get the formation up done, and we'll kick the season off with the Australian Grand Prix. Okay then guys, here we go. Way too much wheel spin. With Van Dorn and Hulkenberg squabbling, that's a nice big Williams-shaped hole for us to drive through. So we're up to 16th now. And like I said in the build-up, yeah, like I said in the build-up, it's going to be important to get past as many of these one-stoppers as we can, just so we can maximise this strategy. And we got a decent run out of there. Might get to have a look at Ocon. Okay, so DRS is now enabled. So we're going to have to stay up with this pack, because if we drop off them, not only are we going to have to deal with Nico Hulkenberg, but this lot is going to scamper off into the distance. Got a little bit out of shape there. Thanks to what was happening ahead of us. So we've got Brandon Hartley just ahead of us. Time to go really defensive now. Oh, okay. Turned him way too early. And we've dropped off those ahead of us.
Box, we're coming in this lap.
So this is our in lap now. Turn the ERS and the fuel mix up to high. Try and squeeze the last bit of performance out of these tyres. And Ericsson has got past Hulkenberg at some point. Behind us. And of course they are manual pit stops, so
Pit in this lap, and remember the speed limit. We'll be penalised if we exceed it. Keep that in mind as you approach.
so we've got to activate the limiter and get it slowed down. Well, that was pretty much on the money, I'd say. But now we've got to get the exit right.
Go, go, go.
2.4. Not a bad stop, I guess.
Only one stop to go. One stop left in this strategy.
So now we've got to start pumping the laps in and see where we end up.
Our gap to the car in front is 7.5 seconds.
So we are starting to reel in our teammate, who I think is still yet to have his pit stop. I can pretty much confirm he is because he's still on those super soft tyres. And there goes the bollard. I imagine around this lap potentially he's going to be going into the pits along with a few others. And teammate is in the pit, so I was right. And there are a few others in there.
His stop.
Whether we're going to beat any of them out, I'm not sure. Well, we beat them all of them out pretty much. So we're up into 14th. But we've got another stop to make, so now we've got a motor.
Gap to teammate behind. In this lap, push now. We're leading our teammate by 16.0 seconds.
Okay then. So this will be our in lap. I've turned the fuel up to rich and the ERS up to high. But made a right mess of that. And Perez and Co have been getting very, very close. Gasly's not been scampering away though, so again, I've done that. It's really hard to talk and drive, you know that.
Box now, please. Box this lap.
Ooh, that was a moment.
Some information on Hartley. They have some kind of mechanical problem.
And there we go. See if we can't get a better exit this time.
Complete, go now.
Not too bad.
Okay, stay clear of the white line on the exit. You'll receive a penalty for dangerous driving if you cross over into the track.
Right, so we've got quite a few ahead of us. We're in 19th because Hartley has a problem. I don't know whether it's taking him out of the race. But we've got a gaggle of cars ahead of us. Fresh tyres compared to their used ones, so we've got a good chance here. Now if we can get a good exit through this really fast chicane, then we might be able to have a go down into turn 13. Now we got to go. Just sling it around the outside. And we're up into 18th. And onto the back of Stoffel Van Dorn. We've nearly got a full deployment of battery. I'm going to keep it like this for a little while. Now all of us are getting held up by this Sauber. Bit of wheel-to-wheel contact. Wasn't the prettiest overtake you'll ever see. But we got the job done, and now we can chase down Charles Leclerc, who has gone backwards through the Grand Prix. He started in P10. And now we are getting an advantage. And we're up into P16 now.
Let's use some of this energy. Increase the ERS deployment.
Okay, so we're right up to the back of Marcus Ericsson, and we're going to get DRS. And I'm going to put the ERS up as well. That should see us through to the end of the race in this mode.
Is 22.7 seconds.
And now we're up to 15th. but there's a big gap to the next guy. Oh, Max Verstappen's out of the race.
We have 5 laps of fuel remaining.
I'm not quite sure of the reason why Verstappen went out. I'll show you a replay, but right now I'm not sure doing it live.
Yellow flag.
So here we go then, last lap.
This is your final lap of the race. We're leading our teammate by 14.4 seconds.
And Raikkonen wins the race. Started on pole. Right, I might start turning things down now. Got enough of a gap to Marcus Ericsson. And we're not going to catch anybody ahead of us. So I might just start turning things down, saving a bit of wear. So through the final corner, I've got a cat on my lap now. We started 19th and now we're going to finish in 14th.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
So there we go then, guys. 14th place. I know it doesn't sound all that impressive, but when our prediction was 19th and we went a different way on strategy than those around us, I think that's a pretty good result. And it played out exactly how I thought it would, with everybody else on the soft tyres just struggling with tyre wear towards the back end of the race, and then we had that excess energy and that excess fuel as well, which helped us. So pretty good outing, I'd say, overall. So there we go. And it was obviously Raikkonen from Bottas from Vettel. Oh, okay. So Sebastian Vettel got up there. He started in 11th after the rain hit qualifying yesterday. So he's done pretty good to get up there. They've got obviously Bottas. I'm not quite sure what happened to Hamilton, but there we go. A Ferrari 1-3, if I remember how the podium sits, which one sits either side. Yeah, so 1-3 for Ferrari. So there we have it then, guys. Round 1, the Australian Grand Prix in the books, and overall for ourselves, I think that's a pretty good race. I'm not a fan of the Melbourne circuit, the Albert Park circuit. I can never really find a rhythm here. It's one of those. It's a bit of a unique track when it comes to the F1 calendar, so I've never really got on well with it. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think considering we two-stopped and the only other person who two-stopped was Kevin Magnussen, and he went backwards, I think we've had a pretty good result there. Kimi Raikkonen won, of course, from Valtteri Bottas and Sebastian Vettel. Yeah, I mean, looking further down the grid, Lewis Hamilton fell. Carlos Sainz as well didn't have a good race. I mean, Vettel probably had the best race of them all, along with possibly Pierre Gasly. Vettel going from 12th to 3rd, so he done very well there. But looking down the order, and only one retirement. That was Max Verstappen. His engine blew up coming into the back end of the Grand Prix. Brandon Hartley also had problems, but he managed to continue. And I think the main important thing is we've managed to beat our teammate Lance Stroll. He moved forward from 20th up to 17th, so he's done well there. But yeah, I mean, I'm relatively happy with that. So take a look at the Constructors' Championship. Or not the Constructors' Championship, sorry. Because we're going to move on. Because I pressed the wrong button. But oh well. I think we can pretty much gather where everybody is.
Amazing performance out there. You must be really happy. You
I
really
am.
took control of your car out there. Your team must be thrilled.
I think I'm going to boost the team. That'll be good.
You gained a lot of positions during the race, didn't you?
The power advantage did come in handy. Let's see, we'll go with that one, I think.
You left a lot of paint on the walls today. Were you struggling for grip, or did you just misjudge some corners?
I don't remember hitting any walls. We'll go with that one.
Great. Well, that's everything.
So there we go. Looking at the rivalry, we're just ahead of Lance Stroll, 6 points to 3 there, so that's pretty good. And in terms of resource points, I think we're going to get a pretty nice haul here as well. We've done pretty okay over the weekend. It was a clean lap, clean race, session participation and so on. So we've got 910 resource points to spend. And our reputation is decreasing with McLaren, Red Bull, Force India, Mercedes, pretty much everybody. I don't know why. What did I do? I don't think I did anything. I took a poor car from 19th to 14th and my reputation's going down. Okay, whatever. So, yeah, we've moved forward in that one. And we've moved a little bit more towards sportsmanship. So, yeah. There we go. We've got some messages to look at.
Really well. I don't think we can have any complaints with our performance.
Well, you better not do anyway. So, yeah, so we've got the checkpoint.
To new historic events. You'll be able to choose whether or not to participate before the end of this weekend.
Right then, so we've got 2 we can take part in. The French circuit, the Paul Ricard circuit in the 2004 Ferrari, or the Japanese short circuit in the 1976 Ferrari. We've got a couple of messages. Let's see. Before you leave here, yeah, information read, blah blah blah. Okay, here's the debrief of weekend. To be honest, you made things tougher for us than they needed to be in practice. We lose parts, time and sleep. Oh, that was my little crash, of course. The result was good, though. I'm glad you're able to turn it around there. We may not have gotten off to the best start on the whole, but on the whole, it was a positive weekend. Well, give me a better car and I'll get a better result for you. So, yeah. That's pretty much it, I'd say, guys. So, right, so we sorted that. Yeah, so that's basically the end of today's episode, guys. There's the drivers and the constructors standing. So Ferrari take a commanding lead, ahead of Mercedes, Red Bull, Haas, McLaren, Toro Rosso, Renault and Force India. So it's just ourselves and Sauber who haven't scored a point yet. But the next round is going to be in Bahrain, I believe. Is it? I think it's Bahrain. It could be China. I'm not sure. It's Bahrain or China. I can't remember the calendar off the top of my head. And we're going to have some new parts for that coming, hopefully. Yeah. So, like I said, guys, that's pretty much the end of today's episode. So, thank you everybody so much for watching. If you did enjoy this, you would like to see more Formula 1 2018 or just general racing content from myself, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. Also, let me know in the comments, guys, how are you getting on with your career mode campaign? Who did you choose to drive? How did you get on at Melbourne in the first race? Did you find it as tricky as I did? Let me know in the comments, guys. Always happy to hear from you. But once again, guys, thank you so much for watching. Stay cool. And as always, I will catch you in the next video. Peace.